You talk quite often about sticking to your knitting. So let's talk about some of the knitting that you've been doing. Why don't you remind us some of the grades with some of these intersects that you've had, because they are quite remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, we kicked off our drilling program 12 days ago. We put out our first news release this morning from the results we're getting there, scintillometer counts, of course. I think up until recently, the winter campaign, we drilled one hole there that hit, one of the holes was, of course, 33% U3O8 over 8 metres, which until recently was the very best hole drilled in any commodity globally in the last 52 weeks. I think someone's knocked us off the top of the table there, but we'll be trying to get back up there directly. And of course, today we reported one of our holes, 57. We drilled 10 metres at greater than 500 counts per second. That included 2.5 metres at 40,000 counts per second. Previous explorers typically report greater than 10,000 counts per second as being off scale. So there's a lot of off scale in that intercept. We drilled another hole then that intercepted 4 metres at 30,000 counts per second. So you can expect that those holes will deliver some high grade. And of course, the holes around them, there were a couple of very big holes, 8.5 metres at 20% uranium. So truly spectacular high grade results. One of the things we did do during our summer vacation is we took a geologist, very famous geologist in the uranium space called Dave Thomas, who was Cameco's chief geologist for many years. He's a 35-year veteran in the uranium space on a lot of that time in the Athabasca Basin. He tells us that one of those holes, our highest grade hole, 34, it's the only hole he's ever seen outside of Cigar Lake that looks like that. So, we're very enthused by that sort of commentary. And I know that Dave Talbot put out a note on us last week comparing this deposit to Cigar Lake and potentially MacArthur River as well. So, it's turning out to be a truly great high-grade deposit. A lot more drilling to do. That's what we're doing now, of course. We've got 2 rigs turning. And, the results we put out today not only have expanded the high-grade footprint, we've also done a little bit of geotech drilling in there to test the centre of the system and get some, samples for geotech and metallurgical testing that's happening. And we're also expanding that lower grade halo out to the east. We drilled 7.5 metres at greater than 500 counts per second out in the eastern part of the ore body. So I can see the sort of, and when we say lower grade halo in these types of deposits, we mean 1 or 2%. Which is, considerably higher than the average mine grade around the world. So we can see that part of the ore body expanding dramatically as well. So, we're thrilled with these early results. Lots more work to do. We'll be drilling out there for the next 2 months, I think. And then that'll set us up neatly to work out where we go next, whether we, report a maiden resource late this year. I suspect what will probably happen is that we need to do a considerable amount of resource delineation drilling. We also want to test a number of our targets out to the east, which look very, very good, similar to what we've got at Hurricane. And then, that campaign will have an expanded campaign over the winter before announcing a maiden resource sometime next year. So that's, that's the knitting we're sticking to.
Okay, and it's going well. So what I want to try and understand here is you're an exploration company, obviously. You're not going to hit this cycle. You've just raised 2.5 million Canadian, was it 10 million US? You had a little bit of money. I guess you're sitting on what, 14 million Canadian, 14.5 million Canadian? What's that?
A bit over 14.
Yeah, so that sort of number. I'm interested in what you're going to do and how you measure that, because you've got 2 drills going. It's not, you haven't gone crazy, because there's no need to, because the uranium market, let's remind people, the uranium market is just not there. The spot price hasn't moved. Contracts are not being signed. People are waiting till the end of the year to see what happens there. How do you pace yourselves? Because your share price is, amazing. $1.24 today as I speak to you. Okay, that's fantastic. Since we last spoke to you, amazing. People are reacting really well to the exploration component, but at some point, the shine comes off. You've got to move this thing forward into a development story. People kind of lose a little bit of interest and move on to the next shiny object. So, what's your plan to kind of keep this interesting without diluting the existing shareholders?
Yeah, look, absolutely. Of course, having an increasing share price, I think we're the best performing uranium stock in the past 12 months.
By far.
And that comes from, it sort of gets back to, I think, when my very first interview with me, you said to me, I don't get the value proposition. I don't know why you're doing this. Why would you explore for your own? This is why, we're seriously delivering for shareholders. I'll say just in terms of the financing, we also have about $4 or $5 million worth of warrants that are priced at about sort of around the 60-cent mark. So that money, assuming we're north of that 60-cent price this time next year, we'll have another $4.5 million coming into the coffers then. So, in essence, we're looking at us having about $20 million in the bank today. So we're very well funded for the next 18 months or so. Now I think I've forgotten the rest of the question, Matt.
Okay. I'm not surprised. I'm saying, how do you pace yourself? How do you pace this spend? You're well funded for the next 18 months. I get it. But you've also kind of got a duty to existing shareholders to show them where future growth comes from. Is it all from the drill bit? And I guess the other component is, how do you position yourself for the next cycle? Because you're not going to hit this one clearly, but how do you position yourself for the future?
Look, we'd like to think that we will hit this one.
How?
Well, firstly, you've got to think about how long this cycle might be, and of course, we don't see enough production coming on beyond 2026, 27. Of course, Cigar Lake will shut down at some point soon. McLean Lake Mill, which is fed by that, it's only 40 kilometres away from Hurricane and La Roque East. So we're probably uniquely positioned to provide product or ore to that mill and keep that mill going for Orano. There'll be a lot of parties that are motivated to see us develop our project very, very quickly. And I think really this cycle should be an extended one because of all of that production coming off and that supply gap beyond 2026. So that's what we want to target is being production around that time. So we're doing a few things. The next 12 to 18 months will primarily be resource drill out, more exploration work along that perspective. Now, proven, very prospective La Roque East conductive trend. So get out and explore that, build out the resource base. But we're taking a few modest steps at the moment, like that geotech drilling work that I mentioned there, metallurgical test work, such that when we're ready, when we've got a resource, we can advance. And we're doing all of this sort of all of the environmental baseline survey type work that we need to do as well, such that we're very quickly to roll into a PEA, feasibility study, should the project warrant it, which, at the moment we're very positive that it likely will.